Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Emmy the Cat Lady, and you join me here in a random house in Good Springs. So, for today's Wasteland Biographies, we're going to talk about Alan Marks. So, that's a name that you might have heard during your playthroughs of Fallout New Vegas. It's mentioned by a character that you're highly likely to bump into at some stage, and you might even have found Alan Marks yourself. It's an interesting little story, and it all starts with a marketing promotion for a drink. So when you're exploring the Mojave and you're wandering around and looking through people's houses and stuff, you might stumble across a rare bottle cap, which is the Sunset Sarsaparilla Star bottle cap. So these are basically bottle caps that have a little blue star on the inside of them. You find them all over the place. You'll find them in houses and other interior locations in people's inventories, and even when you drink a bottle of Sunset Sarsaparilla, you've got a 5% chance of getting a star bottle cap when you open the bottle. So pick this one up here. So once you find the first one, what will happen is that a man called Malcolm Holmes will come and find you. So as soon as you've kind of picked one up, basically he will start kind of heading towards you on the map, and he'll come and chat to you about it. So there's a good way of kind of getting him to appear is to just go and find a bed and sleep for a little while. So we're going to do that so that we can have a chat with Malcolm Holmes. So this biography covers a few characters in a way, because all these people that we're going to talk about are kind of part of the same story, essentially.
Hello there.
There we go.
It's
There he
good
is.
to see a friendly face. I almost took you for a raider, I did. Name's Malcolm. Malcolm Holmes. Don't suppose you'd care to trade. I'm missing a few essentials and... screw this. Lying just ain't in my nature. I'll tell it to you straight. I've been following you for a good bit now.
Okay, and why?
It started off innocently enough. I was traveling, as I often do, and happened to observe you picking up one of those blue star caps. You didn't show any reaction to it, so I figured you didn't know what you'd gotten your hands on.
Okay, so yeah, you can be like, that's creepy, but what's so special about them?
There's an old Wasteland legend that says somewhere out there is a fabulous treasure from before the war. Those caps with the blue star on them, the tale goes, are the key to that treasure. They're called Sunset Sarsaparilla stars.
Makes sense. That name kind of covers it. So, what kind of treasure are we talking about?
No one knows. Money, weapons, water. It is, or maybe was, something of value, and that's enough to get people motivated.
Okay, so do you collect them?
Nah, I gave it up years ago. Too dangerous. And even if I did still collect them, I'd tell you the same. There's people out there so mad with the idea of treasure that they'll attack strangers just on the suspicion that they have some of those caps.
Okay, and where can I find more of them?
All over the place. The easiest place to find them is unopened bottles of Sunset Sarsaparilla. You'd think they'd all have been picked clean by now, but somehow, new bottles keep appearing in the machines. Some say it's old Festus that does it, hoping someone will finally collect enough caps to earn the treasure. Other than bottles, you'll just have to scavenge. You can find caps in the unlikeliest of places, and blue star caps are no exception.
There we go. And what about Festus? Who's that?
It's said that the treasure is guarded by a man named Festus, and he's the one who asked for the blue star caps. It's also said he's been around since the war, standing a lonely vigil, waiting for someone to come and take the treasure off his hands. That'll make him pretty damn old, but I've met a few people in my travels who claim they actually met him, and they weren't the lying type either.
Okay, thanks for that.
No problem. If you do end up trying to collect more stars, watch out for a man named Alan Marks. He's killed several people for their stars already.
Sorry, Malcolm. But yeah, so Malcolm Holmes is kind of giving us the gist of the story about the star bottle caps, and that there's supposed to be a treasure. That if you collect 50 of them and go there and see Festus, then you will get access to the treasure. And he says he doesn't collect them anymore, but he actually has 6 on him. And some normal bottle caps as well. So most people, I think, once they know about this, would end up just killing this guy, which is a wee bit harsh, but interesting kind of side of things. And obviously he mentions be wary of this guy called Alan Marks, because he's been known to kill people for their star bottle caps, kind of like what we just did. Okay, so when you're approaching Nipton for the first time, you can hear and you can kind of see ahead there that there's two people shooting at each other, and then this guy, usually this guy wins, sometimes the other one does, but he comes running up to you.
Did
Hello.
you see that? That crazy bitch just attacked me out of nowhere.
Did you know her?
Not for long. I met her on the road a few days ago, and we've been traveling together since. We'd actually been flirting a little when she suddenly pulled a gun out and began yelling at me to hand my caps over. Now that I think of it, though, she laughed when I threw her my money. I think what she really wanted was my Lucky Charm necklace.
Lucky Charm necklace?
Yeah, every once in a while you can find a cap with a blue star on it. They're pretty rare, so I started collecting them. And once I had enough, I made a necklace out of them, since I thought they were lucky.
Okay, so you can, if you've got high enough speech skill, you can kind of convince them to give you them. You can demand for him to hand them over, or just say, be more careful. If you do that, he goes hostile.
What? The hell I will!
Yeah, so you can make him go hostile, and then you can kill him without any kind of thing, and you find that he's got a journal on him, and some star bottle caps. So a journal kind of just really tells us what we knew. So he'd made some money with some scrap, and he's got a new friend, Jacqueline, and she's pretty cute. I'm not going to get ahead of myself here, but things are looking up. And he was doubting, so he thought that, you know, meeting her was lucky. And it wasn't really, because eventually, once she'd gained his trust, she pulled a gun on him and said, give me your star caps. And then this is Jacqueline here. She's quite distinctive. She always seems to have the bright purple hair. And she's got two on her as well. So normally Thomas is the one that wins that fight, although I have seen it where she's actually been the winner and killed him, in which case she'll run up to you, and if you ask her about it, she'll attack you as well. So you can end up acquiring 9 just from this encounter just on the road heading into Nipton. So it's kind of 3 characters who also play a role in this whole quest. So now we need to find out basically what the prize is. So we're going to head over to the Sunset Sarsaparilla headquarters, and I'll see you there. Okay, welcome back. So we are here at the Sunset Sarsaparilla headquarters. So you can, it's quite easy to spot from a distance. So Vegas is obviously over there, and then there's the big giant bottle. So if you did that quest for Michelangelo, who we talked about before, you'll have come here anyway. So I'll show you quickly on the map where we are. So world map. So you got Camp McCarran here, the strips to the north there, and South Vegas ruins, Vault 3, and we're pretty much due east of sort of Red Rock, Strug Labs, Red Rock Canyon. So we're right here in the west side of the kind of Vegas city area, and I say it's hard to miss because of the giant bottle of Sunset Sarsaparilla that is right outside it. So we can head inside the factory. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty trashed, and we've obviously got all the design and things, everything, all the branded stuff around. There's vending machine with Sunset Sarsaparilla, there's bottles everywhere. Kind of what you'd expect. Trashed robots, which is a broken shipping worker apparently, and all the rest of it. So, to officially start the quest, Legend of the Star, we need to talk to Festus, and this is Festus.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to the headquarters of the Sunset Sarsaparilla Company. Wrangle up a stool and listen to old Festus jaw a while. If you and old Festus are old pals, say a command now.
So, yep, this is Festus, the one that's apparently filling up all the vending machines and in charge of the Star Bottle Cap quest. And he's an animatronic. Yeah, so pleased to meet you.
New in town, partner? Well, let old Festus give you the lay of the land. If you're here to redeem your Sunset Sarsaparilla stars, dump them into the slot in the barrel below and I'll count them up. If you don't know what Sunset Sarsaparilla stars are and think old Festus is just shooting his mouth off, say star info. If you're here to challenge old Festus to a game of lucky horseshoes, say I feel lucky. Lastly, if you're here about the health advisory that aired on Channel 6 recently, say silly old advisory.
Yep, so a couple of things here. You can play a game with them which gives you Star Bottle Caps as a prize if that's something that you really want to do. But you don't have to do that. There's plenty of them out in the world that you can find. The silly old advisory.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand that. Could you repeat it? I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand that. Could you repeat it?
So, yeah, he's like, yeah, if you want to know about the advisory on Channel 6, but he just doesn't tell you anything, so star info. Tell me about the stars.
Oh, new to the hunt, are you? Well, listen carefully, as old Festus don't like to repeat himself. Select Sunset Sarsaparilla bottles will have special caps with blue stars on. These caps are known as Sunset Sarsaparilla stars. Why are these stars there, and what do they mean? Nobody knows, except maybe old Festus. Rustle up enough of them and you can win a prize. So get out there and start drinking Sunset Sarsaparilla.
There we go. So, Festus is a very creepy animatronic, but there's the quest, the Legend of the Star, and he is basically saying to us that if you collect enough Sunset Sarsaparilla Star Caps, you get a prize. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Oh, okay, so I've acquired all the Star Bottle Caps that I need. So, yeah, as you can kind of see from the encounters we've had with Malcolm Holmes and with Jacqueline and Thomas, a lot of people are kind of really into collecting these Star Bottle Caps and the rumours that there's a treasure to find and all the rest of it. So it's obviously something that some people are really quite kind of worked up about and heavily involved in. So now that we have 50 Star Bottle Caps, let's have a chat with Festus again.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to the headquarters of the Sunset Sarsaparilla Company. Wrangle up a stool and listen to old Festus jaw a while. If you and old Festus are old pals, say a command now. Otherwise, say, pleased to meet you, and we'll get acquainted. Or, if you have more important things to do.
Okay, so now we can deposit our Sunset Sarsaparilla stars in the slot.
Woohoo! You did it, partner. Bullet for you. Old Festus knew you could do it. I suppose you'll be wanting that prize now.
Yep.
Well then, hold on to your hat, 'cause it's a doozy. Not many people have heard the true story behind Sunset Sarsaparilla. Well, it's a right honor. And now, without further ado, your prize, the Legend of the Star. Long ago, people didn't have a heap of choices when it came to soft drinks. It was either water or Nuka-Cola. Now, stopped by and reported that the stranger's body was found on the side of the town road. He'd been killed by bandits. The man, cursing his luck, closed the saloon early that day, just as the sun began to set. But after he'd locked the doors, he turned around to find an unfamiliar bottle on the bar with a note beneath it. The note was sealed with blue wax in the shape of a star. Opening it, the man found it contained a recipe for a sarsaparilla-flavored drink. Sampling the bottle's contents and finding it singularly delicious, the man gave silent thanks to his mysterious benefactor, wherever he was. Being an honorable man, the saloon owner paid for the stranger's funeral, thinking it was the least he could do to repay him. The saloon owner went on to become rich selling the new drink, and to this day, some bottles of Sunset Sarsaparilla have a blue star under their caps. Some say the saloon owner ordered it done in honor of the stranger. Others say it's the stranger sampling the bottles like he promised. And that's the legend of the star. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you continue enjoying Sunset Sarsaparilla.
So there's your prize, and quest failed. So yeah, this is the prize, is the somewhat dubious story of the creation of Sunset Sarsaparilla. So yep, that's the thing, and we're about to get access to the prize vault where we can get a genuine deputy badge. So we can say, is that it?
The Sunset Sarsaparilla Company has received a number of complaints regarding the prize awarded for handing in Sunset Sarsaparilla stars. Therefore, we have seen fit to provide another prize that we feel will placate the most discriminating customer. Just head through the double doors and follow the hallway to your left to the very end. An attendant will be there to present your prize directly. With the Sunset Sarsaparilla Company would once again like to thank you for your patronage.
There we go. So now we have failed the Legend of the Star, and we've acquired the quest A Valuable Lesson. So the badge was basically added because people complained that getting the story and as a prize for collecting the bottle caps wasn't enough. They weren't happy with it, so they decided to add this other prize, which we'll see in a minute. So what we can kind of gather from this is it was all a marketing ploy just to sell more of their drinks, because, you know, local company Sunset Sarsaparilla, they were in competition with Nuka-Cola, which is this world's equivalent of Coca-Cola, and it's not a big surprise because Nuka-Cola has such a monopoly on the soft drink market in this world, and that's something that we see reflected in the real world as well. And it's interesting considering that I live in one of very few countries where Coca-Cola is not the top selling soft drink, because we have Iron Brew. There is actually a ton of bottle caps in this place as well. So Bar's Iron Brew is the top selling soft drink in Scotland, because it just is. It's a great hangover cure. Any Scottish person will tell you that for nothing. But it's an interesting one. So the inspiration for this quest is essentially a similar kind of urban legend about the Tootsie Roll Pop wrappers. And this is what Josh Sawyer himself has said. That was kind of his inspiration for this particular quest. So we can't actually get through anywhere that way. You go through the hole here, and this is all blocked off. So we're going to have to find another way around to the prize vault. There we go. So this is us. You have to kind of go up and around and back down again to kind of get access to this room here. So this is where the prizes are kept. So the inspiration for this quest was the kind of urban legend about the Tootsie Roll Pop wrappers and the Legend of the Shooting Star, but there's also a bit of a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory vibe to my mind. You know, the whole thing about hiding promotional limited edition sort of symbols or items inside the packaging of products to promise an exclusive prize. Something that's been used by many companies over the years. One thing that I remember particularly when I was growing up was Walker's Crisps, or potato chips if you're American, had a promotion where they had little prize sachets that were hidden inside the bags, and it's possible for them to contain literal money. Like, you could find a £5 note, literal money, inside a packet of crisps. So that was something that a lot of companies did, and this is no different. And when we're talking about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, obviously hiding the golden tickets inside chocolate bars, it's just a scheme to sell more product, essentially, because then, you know, you think, oh, there might be a prize. So we can see the deputy badges everywhere. So this was the prize they added when people complained that the story wasn't enough, that you can get these deputy badges. They don't weigh anything. They also aren't worth anything. They're obviously just cheap mass-produced crap, essentially. And there's also plenty of them. So if you want to collect them all, then you're more than welcome to do so. But they don't really do much for you. But the real prize from a practical gameplay point of view is that these crates are all full of bottle caps. And once you've kind of reached this point, any more star bottle caps you pick up just become normal caps. So, physics engine's having a bit of a moment. But yeah, there's tons of these crates about, and you can actually find, I think, about 1,500 caps, give or take. But here it is, Alan Marks, and he's got one of the deputy badges sitting on his body. It's not actually in his inventory, it's just kind of sitting on his chest there. So he made his way across the Mojave, murdering and looting to make sure that he'd be the first to get to this fabled treasure. And he got locked into the prize vault, which apparently has an airtight seal, and he has died, so he's here. So we've got holotape here, if the game will let me pick it up. Yep. And that gives me a nice dump of XP and completes the quest, a valuable lesson. We'll get back to the kind of quest stuff in just a second, but I want to listen to his holotape.
Not much air left now. Minutes, maybe. And this is what I have to show for it. I guess the joke's on me. Probably shouldn't have killed all those people. Probably should have stayed at home and taken care of my mom. She always used to say people who murder and steal die bad in the end. Said they...
Yep, so that was his kind of last thoughts, that he shouldn't have done what he did, and he should have just stayed home and looked after his mother. So, yeah. And I say he's got that little star on his chest. So, one thing that you'll have noticed, if we go into my quest log, so Legend of the Star, when that pops up, that you've got enough of the caps, you fail the Legend of the Star. There's no way for you to complete that quest. It's failed, and then a valuable lesson triggers, and you have to go and collect your prize. So, an interesting thing, and it's something that I think is an interesting point to make, because it really kind of reflects this whole story and the story of what this guy did. So the other thing worth noting is that you are rewarded with a bunch of caps and also a unique laser rifle pew pew, and a bunch of ammo and stuff from his body. So the kind of point of that is that, you listen to his holotape and he's expressing his regrets for what he did. He feels guilty for killing all those people. He shouldn't have done what he did because he got all the star bottle caps he needed to get in here, and unfortunately the prize wasn't what he expected it to be, and he's now kind of paying the price essentially for what he did. So you could kind of say that he earned what he got here, that, you know, he died because of how he responded, even though that doesn't seem to be the same consequence for you if you choose to kill Malcolm Holmes for his caps, if you choose to kill Thomas or Jacqueline, whoever survives that little altercation, for their caps. You don't seem to suffer the same consequences, but it's kind of the point that he did horrible things for selfish reasons, and it's not worth it. That's what he did to earn this pathetic prize in a world where none of these things mean a thing. Nobody cares about the origin of Sunset Sarsaparilla in this world. Nobody cares about the competition between different soft drink companies and marketing and all that kind of stuff. That's not a thing anymore in this world. And that people that do whatever they want without having a good reason and doing it for selfish reasons don't deserve to require anything good. And going back to the kind of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory comparison that I made, that was kind of the point of that story. So that was the point made in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Whichever version of that story you're familiar with, whether you've read the book or you've seen either of the movies, one with Gene Wilder, the one with Johnny Depp, or even the stage show, we're not going to talk about that weird thing that happened in Glasgow last year. That doesn't count. But the bottom line is that Charlie is supposed to win the big prize of getting the chocolate factory because he's kind and unselfish compared to the other 4 kids. So the other 4 kids were supposed to learn a lesson, and a hard lesson, about their behaviour by, you know, from almost drowning in chocolate, getting turned into a blueberry, put in the bin by squirrels, or being shrunk by TV waves. They were supposed to learn that their kind of selfish ways, their greedy ways, meant that they didn't really deserve to get anything good. Well, Charlie didn't need to learn that lesson because he wasn't spoiled, he wasn't greedy, so that's why he got the real prize of winning the chocolate factory and inheriting the chocolate factory from Willy Wonka. So the quests in here are basically teaching us the same lesson and teaching Alan here that same lesson, that, you know, you get a fail on your quest list, which is something that most gamers don't really like. We don't like failing quests. We don't like, you know, not managing to complete things when we're playing these games and we're doing these quests. So it's something that's kind of it feels like a mark against you that you failed this quest and there's no way of completing it. It's always going to fail. That's just the way it's programmed, but it doesn't feel good to a gamer that, you know, to fail a quest like that. So I think it's a really interesting way of kind of telling this kind of a story, and it really does, you know, and then the quest is a valuable lesson. So again, that's just telling us you're supposed to learn from this. And that, you know, we discover Alan Marks and that he basically, because of what he did, he's ended up stuck in here and he's died alone and he's not achieved anything, and his final regrets that he just should have stayed and took care of his mother instead of going out and doing this. And I think it really it really kind of highlights the thing about sort of Las Vegas, the thing about, you know, gambling in general, which is, you know, the one thing that Vegas is most known for is gambling. You know, that even though there's a lot more that the city has to offer than just casinos, but it's obviously a big part of the culture around this city, both here in the real world and in the game. And, you know, that's the illusion that Vegas offers, is that, you know, you come into this fabulous city full of neon lights and music and gambling and everybody's having a good time. And don't get me wrong, I love Vegas. Vegas is an amazing place. I visited, I went to Vegas in 2008 for a friend's wedding and stayed for a week, because that's obviously, you know, we're talking a 10-hour flight to get to Vegas. So stayed for a week and it was brilliant, and it's an amazing place. The hotels are beautiful. It's like nowhere else in the world, nowhere else in the US, nowhere else anywhere in the world, I think, Las Vegas. But it is selling you an illusion. Vegas is selling you an illusion that, you know, you can go and you can make your fortune and you can win all this money and it's going to be great. But casinos and gambling inherently favour the house. The house always wins, which is obviously the Mr. House quest line. That's all very deliberate, because that is a kind of thing that's talked about with gambling and casinos, is that the house always wins. And, you know, that they're kind of misleading you with a promise of fortune, a promise of treasure, and you might win big, you might, you know, come away 10 grand richer than you were, but there's also a chance that you could lose badly and end up worse off than you were when you started, and that's the one that's more likely to happen, especially when it comes to things like slot machines, where it's purely a game of chance. And there's no skill involved, anything like that. So what you win is purely based on luck and has nothing to do with any skill. Whereas, you know, other games like, you know, poker and that kind of thing, there is some degree of skill involved as well. So it's a bit different. But this kind of a thing, this marketing technique of, you know, hiding golden tickets inside packaging, or, you know, putting stars inside the bottle caps in certain bottles of your drink to get people to collect them, to get a prize, to look for them, because they're going to buy more of your products if they're trying to find this prize. So this kind of marketing ploy is a gamble. It's just exactly the same, and it's just designed to get you to spend more money. It's no different from, you know, casinos. If you've ever been to Vegas and you've been into any of the casinos, that when you're in the gambling areas, when you're in the actual casino area, you can't see the windows, you can't see outside from the kind of casino areas. You there's no clocks visible anywhere. There's nothing to indicate the passage of time, and then they'll keep bringing you free drinks as well, because, you know, I mean, while free drinks means that they're technically losing money, they're actually not, because you're sitting there gambling the whole time and just feeding more money into it. So, you know, it's very kind of clever trick based on sort of human psychology, because if you are inside and you can't see any windows, like in here, for example, in this part, this is obviously the factory bit, but like, you can't see any windows, there's no clocks, so you have no idea if, is it dark outside, is it light outside, have you been sitting there until 6 o'clock in the morning, just feeding money into slot machines, things like that. You don't notice the passage of times, and the free drinks means that you're just going to keep going in the hope that you might win big. And this is essentially what happened to Alan Marks, is that he's worse because he tried to cheat the system. And again, that's something that casinos do take very seriously, is cheating. So that's not something that you would ever get away with. But he tried to cheat the system. He went around killing people for their star bottle caps and murdering people just in cold blood for the sake of this treasure, to then get the treasure and find out that it's absolutely worthless. So he's, you know, killed these people. He's done all this horrible stuff, and for nothing, and he's ended up dead in the prize vault, surrounded by absolutely worthless little deputy star badges, and he's paid the ultimate price, leaving behind a cautionary tale for other hapless wastelanders that decide to follow in his footsteps. And Wonka definitely wouldn't have been given Alan Marks the chocolate factory. So that's the story of Alan Marks, and the story of the Legend of the Star bottle cap, all the star bottle caps and things. So it's an interesting little quest, and I don't know, some people will have kind of wanted to do it just to see, and that, again, that's kind of part of it as well, is that, you know, there's all these rumours about, oh, if you collect all these, there's a treasure, there's a prize. That's enough for people to get curious and to think, oh, maybe this is worth looking into, and they keep looking for them and stuff, and eventually you find out that none of it was worth it, and you've learned a valuable lesson, as did Alan Marks, unfortunately. It was perhaps a bit too little too late for him, but, you know, that's what happens when you're a horrible person and you murder people for no good reason. Kind of feel like you deserve what you get to some extent doing that, but that's, yeah, the way it goes. I can't find the way out of here. This place is really a bit of a maze, in all honesty. It's very confusing. Nope, that's the storage room. What else I have? There's a Mr. Janitor here. There's a Mr. Handy that's a Mr. Janitor. I think you can actually activate him if you want to. And then, yeah, packing area. I think there's another door out. So, yeah, that's the story of Alan Marks, and also briefly touching on Malcolm Holmes, Jacqueline and Thomas. So, all the people that were kind of involved in finding these star bottle caps and taking them to Festus, who, as it turns out, isn't actually a person but is a very creepy animatronic with one eye hanging out and things, which is a little bit unpleasant, but there we are. And the valuable lesson that people should learn, that, you know, cheating your way and trying to take shortcuts isn't always the right thing to do. And sometimes you pay the price for your folly, let's say. So hopefully you find that interesting. I say it's a fun little thing, and I really like the kind of theme behind this quest and how it ties into, you know, the kind of culture around Vegas and the gambling and everything, and how that can impact people's behaviour and sometimes brings out the worst in people. So I think thematically it's a very interesting one. So let me know what you think. Have you done this quest? Have you found Alan and his unique laser rifle pew pew? Have you spoke to Festus? What do you think? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.